Okay, monkey. You're watching.
Okay.
Actually, I'll just talk to you. That's easier.
Yeah. Helen, what is the positive impact of your setting on children?
I think outdoor learning is amazing for children. It really helps develop their resilience. I hate that word actually, but resilience. But in the true sense of the word, it helps them to know their own boundaries and to understand the world and to say no when they need to and to believe in themselves. So not resilience that they talk about in school that's just putting up with something that makes you feel really uncomfortable, but resilience trying to achieve what you want to and keeping trying and knowing when you're not happy with something and having the freedom to move away from it. It's really good for their physical well-being. They get fresh air and run around. It's really good. You can hear them all chatting. It's really good for social. The thing particularly that I try to do in this setting is to provide them with as much autonomy as possible. I think this generation of children obviously don't benefit from what I had as a child, the freedom that I had. I was out of the house running around with my friends. It wasn't a problem. My parents didn't know where I was for most of the time, and we just came home at the end of the day. But kids these days can't do that. I like to think here that that's as close to that as I can give them. I think self-confidence is one of the biggest benefits. I trust them to use tools. They use knives and saws, and we build things together. They make things that they want to make from their own imagination. They're not told what to do. So their confidence of that stuff. They light fires, believing that they're able to do that and they're trusted to do that. I think the kids here feel very trusted, and I think that's really important.
What do you think the magic of childminding really is, and what parents should know about childminders and settings like yours, and when thinking about choosing childcare for their children?
Mm-hmm. The most important thing about childminding is it as close to a home environment as you can get. That's why I started childminding. I wanted my child to go to a childminder for that reason. And that's why I became a childminder. I think it's really important, particularly for young children, that they're in a home environment for as long as possible, that they feel loved and part of a family, that they get to have interactions that they would with siblings, and they do all of the things that you would do at home. So for me, that's the most important thing about childminding. My childminding practice has grown. I don't look after small children anymore, but the principle still remains that I want them to be free and happy and have an experience like they would in a home setting. And we can be so versatile, you know, with a nursery or another fixed setting with more staff and more children. There are by nature more rules, more routine. Those sort of things don't suit a lot of children, particularly children with special educational needs, neurodiversity. It's really important to provide those children with freedom and flexibility. And childminders have the ability to do that. I started as a sort of standard childminder looking after small children, and it's grown into an outdoor learning setting. We're outside all the time. The kids are free to do whatever they want to do, and they all seem to love it, and they really thrive.
Well, I want to ask this question.
Yeah.
Are you proud of the work that you do, and do you take time to reflect on the work and to give yourself a pat on the back, should we say, but also just appreciate what you do for these children? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I think I am. I think it's taken me a really long time to feel that way, because what I do isn't sort of what you would expect to be classic childminding, because there's a lot of bureaucracy around childcare and a lot of targets and a lot of rhetoric about what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's taken me a long time to believe in my own approach, but I see the evidence is here. The kids are all really happy. The parents are all really happy. They're developing, they're thriving. It works, but because my approach is very hands-off, because I give them the freedom, I'm here to support what they want to do. So they call the shots, really. I'm just here to stick on plasters occasionally and point out something that looks a bit dangerous. Otherwise, I'm their assistant. And sometimes that means not doing anything at all. Often that means being completely stepped back and leaving them to it, because adult interaction in the middle of a group imaginary game is the last thing they want or need. So for that reason, I felt it's taken me a long time to believe that I'm doing something worthwhile. There's a lot of feeling of I'm not doing enough, I'm not providing enough, I'm not running activities, that sort of thing. But I'm there now. I believe that this is the best way to raise a lot of children. I think there should be more settings like this, where children have more autonomy. I think if schools had places more like this, there would be a lot more children who are able to attend school. I don't think we would have the SEND crisis we have if there were more flexible settings, where there were just less rules, where you just say yes more than no. If you put children in a stimulating environment, they can't help but learn. You don't need to direct that for them. They do it themselves. You just have to provide the environment and a little bit of support. And I think a lot of us have forgotten that. So yeah, I am proud of it, finally. And I wish I could offer places to more people, but if it got bigger, it wouldn't be so special either. So I hope I can encourage some more people to do it too.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the children in your setting and how you work with them, those with SEND?
I think a lot of children in my setting have SEND. I think this sort of environment is very attractive to children, particularly children with neurodiversity, autism, ADHD, that sort of thing. Children with PDA who need a setting with fewer demands and more freedom. So the setting itself really suits them. It brings them out of their shells. I've got quite a few children with diagnosed neurodiversity. Also, probably most of the children I look after suspected neurodiversity. Some have anxiety issues. Some have tried to be at school and unable to be. I've got one child who hasn't been able to access secondary education and couldn't access any settings at all for a long time, and is now thriving. They're interacting socially. They're making things they want to come every week. They're also starting to interact in other groups and areas outside as well.